Although we've seen hundreds of players switch schools already, there's still a number of solid players that are still hanging out in the transfer portal. Not only that, a number of them can be impact players at their new programs in 2023. Today, we'll be taking a look at the 10 best players who are currently still in the transfer portal. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. I'm posting college football videos all off season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. We'll start off with the top quarterback that's currently available in former Virginia quarterback Brennan Armstrong. He entered the transfer portal a couple weeks ago, but he still hasn't decided on a new team yet. According to 24/7 Sports, he's being targeted by NC State, Auburn, and Oklahoma State. Although Armstrong had a down season in 2022, he proved that he's capable of being one of the top quarterbacks in all of college football in 2021. 2 years ago for the Cavaliers, Armstrong threw for 4,500 yards with 31 passing touchdowns in only 11 games. He also added 9 touchdowns on the ground as well. Under a new coaching staff in 2022, things just didn't go well for Armstrong. He completed only 55% of his passes with 7 passing touchdowns and 12 interceptions. I get it, 2022 was a forgettable season for him, but you just don't throw for 4,500 yards with 40 total touchdowns by mistake. At a new program, I think Brennan Armstrong is once again going to emerge as one of the better quarterbacks in all of college football. Former Wake Forest quarterback Sam Hartman is still in the transfer portal, but it's expected that he's going to transfer to Notre Dame. Hartman set the ACC record for touchdown passes in his career, throwing for 110 while at Wake Forest. He's also second in ACC history as he threw for just under 13,000 passing yards. It didn't even look like Sam Hartman was going to play in 2022, but he ended up playing 12 games for the Demon Deacons. He completed a career best 63% of his passes while throwing for 3,700 yards and 38 passing touchdowns. Had he played just one more game, he would have easily set a new career high with 40 plus passing touchdowns. Still, over the last 2 seasons, Hartman has been one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. Since the start of the 2021 campaign, Hartman has thrown for 8,000 yards with 77 passing touchdowns. He's also a threat on the ground as he's rushed in 17 touchdowns for his Wake Forest career. Like I mentioned, it's widely expected that he goes to Notre Dame, but until that's official, who knows where he ends up. Another really good quarterback that has yet to find a new team is former Oklahoma State quarterback Spencer Sanders. According to ESPN, it looks like Sanders is going to end up in the SEC. It's just a matter of which team is he going to go to. According to reports, it looks like Auburn and Ole Miss have expressed interest in Sanders. He had a solid season for Oklahoma State in 2022, but he regressed from what he did in 2021. In 10 games this season for the Cowboys, he threw for 2,600 yards with 17 passing touchdowns. He also rushed for 400 yards with 8 rushing scores as well. During his 4 seasons as quarterback for Oklahoma State, Sanders has thrown for 9,500 yards. He's also thrown 67 touchdown passes while rushing in 18 scores as well with 2,000 yards on the ground. He's likely not going to win the Heisman Trophy with the numbers he puts up, but Spencer Sanders is a veteran quarterback that almost has more games under his belt than any other quarterback in the country. Former Kent State wide receiver Dante Cephas is the #1 available wide receiver in the transfer portal, but according to reports, it looks like he's going to end up at Pittsburgh. While at Kent State, he was named to the All-MAC team 2 times. He had a breakout campaign in 2021 when he caught 82 passes for 1,200 yards with 9 receiving touchdowns. His numbers took a bit of a hit in 2022, but that's because he played in 5 fewer games. Still, he caught 50 passes for over 700 yards with 3 receiving touchdowns. He visited Penn State last month and told 24/7 Sports he had interest in taking trips to Georgia, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and UCLA. But as of right now, all signs point to him landing to Pittsburgh. We have another player from Wake Forest on this list in defensive lineman Rondell Boyd. He spent the last 5 seasons with the Demon Deacons, but he's entering the portal with 1 year of eligibility remaining. This past season in 12 games, he racked up only 30 tackles, but had 8 tackles for loss with 6 sacks. He also had 3 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. His best season came in 2021 when he was one of the best defensive players in the entire ACC. He finished the season with 63 tackles and 16.5 tackles for loss. 7 of those came for sacks. He also had 2 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries as well. There's still a chance he returns to Wake Forest, but as of right now, Boythroyd is one of the top defensive players currently in the transfer portal. Another really good defensive player in the transfer portal, also from the ACC, is former Virginia linebacker Nick Jackson. This is a pretty big name, as Jackson led the Cavaliers in tackles each of the last 3 seasons. He's been an All-ACC selection 3 times, and has been one of the top players in the entire conference over the last few seasons. In 2022, he finished with 104 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 4 pass breakups, 4 quarterback hurries, and a fumble recovery. He averaged 10.4 tackles a game, the second best in the entire ACC. During his 4 seasons with the Cavaliers, Jackson's totaled over 350 tackles with 20 tackles for loss and 10.5 sacks. Again, he might return to Virginia, but as of right now, he's the clear best linebacker that still remains in the transfer portal. A popular name in the transfer portal is former Texas A&M cornerback Dion Bowie. He played in only 7 games as a freshman for A&M this past year, and in his time, he only racked up 4 tackles. He was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school and was considered to be one of the better cornerbacks in his entire class. We didn't get to see it for him at A&M this past season, but the talent is clearly there, and at a new program, maybe he can finally showcase why he was considered one of the top recruits of his entire class. We're going to end this video with a string of running backs, the first being former South Carolina running back Marshawn Lloyd. He was fantastic for the Gamecocks in 2022, as he was one of the better running backs in the entire SEC. He finished his season with 600 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns in only 9 games. He also caught 18 passes for 200 yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. He had a couple of big games last season, including a 170-yard 3-touchdown performance against Charlotte and a 100-yard 2-touchdown performance against Texas A&M. Although he was considered to be one of the more highly touted running backs of his class, former Alabama running back Trey Sanders just hasn't lived up to the hype while with the Tide. In his 3 seasons at Alabama, he's rushed for only 500 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. This past season, he appeared in 10 games, but only had 14 rush attempts, the fewest of his entire career up until this point. He's also been plagued by injuries, a large factor of his limited snaps, but still, it's been a pretty disappointing career for Sanders up until this point. We'll wrap up today's video with former Florida State running back Treshaun Ward. He spent the last 4 seasons at Florida State, but in 2022, he had his best season of his career. He rushed for over 600 yards while averaging nearly 7 yards a carry. He also rushed in 7 touchdowns as well. He was top 10 in the conference in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, and for the 2nd consecutive season, led the ACC in rushing yards per attempt. His numbers aren't All-American by any means, but over the last 2 seasons, he's rushed for over 1,100 yards with 11 rushing touchdowns while averaging 6.5 yards a carry, the best mark in the entire ACC. Well, those are the top 10 players that are currently in the transfer portal. Out of all the players I talked about in today's video, which player do you think is going to make the biggest impact at their new program in 2023? Whoever you think it's going to be, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, this is definitely the place for you. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm posting college football videos all off season, so make sure to subscribe if you call yourself a college football fan. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.